What prompted the repatriation and reburial of Mr. Moses Kotane and J.B. Marks? What is the role of the South African Heritage Resources Agency? Has the PAC benefited from SAHRA's repatriation program? Is there a set time frame for the repatriation of all fallen cadres buried on foreign soil? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Seidu. South Africa's struggle for freedom resulted in thousands of men and women taking up arms to fight the then intransigent and brutal apartheid regime. Some of these freedom fighters lost their lives under various circumstances, both in and outside the country. During its 2012 Mangaung National Conference, the ANC agreed to assist in the exhumation and repatriation of comrades who are buried outside the country. For its part, the South African Heritage Resources Agency is mandated by government to issue permits or any action regarding exhumation, repatriation and reburials of remains. The recent reburial of Moses Kotane and J.B. Marks bears testimony to this. However, several of other cadres remains, including members of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania's military wing, APLA, are yet to be brought back home and be given decent burials. My guest today in studio, the PAC Secretary General, Narias Moloto, and joining us from our Seapoint studios in Cape Town, Umamveliswa Paduza. She's the CEO of South African Heritage Resources Agency. Let me welcome you both. Paduza, let me start with you right there in Cape Town. The recent reburial of Moses Kotane and J.B. Marks probably did indeed put your organization on the map, but many may not actually understand the role that you have to play under such circumstances. Just share with us, perhaps.
Oh, thank you, Mpho. Firstly, we are an entity established in terms of the National Heritage Resources Act, number 25 of 1999. We are then the South African Heritage Resources Agency, Schedule 3 public entity, but also an agency of the Department of Arts and Culture.
Yes.
So we then report to the Ministry of Arts and Culture, Minister of Arts and Culture.
Yes.
We have a council that is appointed by the minister, and so the members have 15 of the maximum 15 in terms of the act.
Okay.
So when it came to the repatriation and reburial of the stalwarts that have just been reburied and repatriated, we were part of the delegation that went to Moscow. We were with the Department of Arts and Culture, and we were received very well by the embassy there, the ambassador, who was the ambassador at the time. I think he has since been posted elsewhere. Mm-hmm. But we then engaged with the embassy, as I say, and with the authorities in Moscow, and we went to the cemetery, the Nodovishki. Oh, sorry, excuse my Russian. So we went to the cemetery as well. We visited both graves, the grave of J.B. Marks and the grave of Moses Kotane. And it was in winter. It was very wintry, the weather there, full of snow. And when the bodies were exhumed, we were there.
Okay. Now, perhaps for somebody who may not know, how does it happen that your organization then becomes part of a repatriation? If I have a relative who is buried elsewhere outside the borders of this country, one, does it have to be a former comrade, or can it just be a relative who died and was buried outside South Africa and would want to rebury that person here in South Africa?
As the Heritage Resources Agency, we are responsible and mandated for the coordination of the identification and management of cultural heritage resources,
okay,
or heritage resources of cultural significance, which means, therefore, we get involved where when it comes to graves and and exhumations and reburials where it comes to either the victims of conflicts or the struggle of the liberation movement, the cadres that fell outside the country. So that's where then as an entity we come into play.
Okay. And at the moment, how big is the list? How long is it, rather? Do you have a list of outstanding repatriations that have to happen?
Well, presently, as we were celebrating the 20 years of freedom as well, we had a project that we were working towards. And we were also looking at not the repatriation only of the remains of the heroes that fell outside of the country. We are also looking at dealing with the monuments and the graves of those who are already in the country, or the Mahapanes of this world and the founding fathers of the liberation movement. We were also looking at their graves as well.
Okay.
Our Steve Biko's graves, our Robert Sobukwe's graves. So we've got our list of the graves that we're looking at. It's not only those that are outside the country, but also those that are within the country. We also have a program to look at those graves as well.
Okay. Perhaps last one before I come to Mr. Moloto here. I know you've mentioned Biko Sobukwe, but is there some form of bias towards the governing party?
I wouldn't say there is a form of bias. Safe to say that we're looking at the graves of the fallen heroes. And as I said, we're looking at heritage resources of cultural significance.
Okay.
And those are part of the heritage resources of cultural significance, talking to burial grounds and graves. Remember, as an organization, we also deal with buildings, we also deal with objects, cultural objects, we also deal with maritime, those that are underwater. But as far as burial grounds and graves are concerned, we're looking at across the spectrum.
Okay. Mr. Moloto, the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, you have made some little noise here and there. Are you not happy?
We are not happy. Look, we are happy when the repatriation program is taking place. We are not complaining about Moskotani and the like.
Yes.
But what we are saying is that PAC is not really taken seriously. We have leaders such as Comrade John Nyachipugela, just across the border in Zimbabwe. We have Comrade Potlako Loballo. We have leaders, we have cadres, we have members who died. And it's not up to me to sit here and try to demonstrate that.
But
all what we have seen up until so far is the largely the members of the African National Congress and their leaders.
Well, maybe because there are many.
That's not correct. That's not correct. It is not done that way. There seems to be a program that is transparent, that the Heritage Agency can begin to tell the public about, the South African about. We have, as I've indicated, known leaders of the struggle from the PAC. Nobody's talking about them. Okay, we have had several repatriation of some PAC members, but the PAC was not even contacted. They've repatriated in a very silent and secretive way, while others are covered by the media, SABC, the reburial are fully covered.
Yes.
Now, that is the problem that we have as the PAC.
But
we do not believe that this program and this process is transparent, is fair, is balanced.
Okay. I want to take up issue with you, but I'll only do that after the break. For now, we're going to take a quick break. Please don't go away.
Zoom into Africa. This is Senegal. The president is Mr. Macky Sall. Senegal withdrew from the Mali Federation on 20 August in 1960. The population is more than 13 million people. One of the major languages spoken is French. Monetary unit is CFA.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. Of course, today is the Secretary General of the PAC, Datenarius Moloto. And from our Seapoint studios, we're joined by Umam Veliswa Baduza. She's the CEO of the South African Heritage Resources Agency. Mam Veliswa, Tatu Moloto is not very happy here. He says the PAC is not being taken serious.
You know, in terms of the Act, any person can approach the relevant authorities and request for the repatriation of their relatives, or in this case, then it's their comrades that had fallen outside the country. So I do not believe that there is any special attention or focus on one liberation movement versus the other. I think it is the owners of the liberation movement, represented by the gentleman, to come forward and bring. I'm not aware of any request that has been brought forward to government to have any specific remains being repatriated belonging to that particular liberation movement. I may not have seen that, but I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
But also, I must say that, for instance, I know that the Eastern Cape Province, as a South African Heritage Resources Agency, we are a national entity, but we do have provincial entities, provincial heritage resources authorities. I'm aware, for instance, that the Eastern Cape Provincial Heritage Resources has just recently been to Mozambique as well as Zimbabwe to look at the remains of the fallen cadres there. So yes, even at provincial level, you do get the repatriation taking place and the reburial taking place through initiated at the provincial level.
That's what I wanted to take up with you on Ntatamloto. That as the PAC, are you doing enough to ensure that, like you're saying, PK is known about, whether it be in Lesotho or whether you want him to be repatriated back to South Africa? Because you cannot blame the ANC for making noise about Moses Kotane and J.B. Marks.
No, we are not blaming the ANC per se,
Yes.
specifically on that issue.
Yes.
We are saying this program
Yes.
that the
Mayor
lady
Baduza.
has just spoken about. It's an occasion meant at repatriating the fallen comrades
Yes.
of the liberation movement struggle.
Yes.
Now, it cannot be suggested that it's a neutral thing, came from nowhere where individual just goes. It's not working like that.
Yes.
For instance, we do have people that, like Comrade Makshinas, is serving in that Heritage Council.
Yes.
Representing this. The facts remain, the South Africans don't know. They haven't seen. There's a program that they need to develop. Now, the repatriation of Moses Kotane arises out of a program.
Yes.
Now, that's a program. Now, I don't think that she's telling the entire truth about what is happening and the mandate of that. It's not just created for the individual to approach it and begin to point fingers to some people. As the PAC, we have had, we're an organization, we have had people in the numbers like the ANC, like the AZAPO, who went out deliberately to wage a struggle. And it's intended to help the people who went out on a program to liberate the country.
Yeah, but you see,
And that day. Now,
you have Azapo went out and made noise about Unkgopotsetiro, right?
Yeah.
Then they had to bring him back to Dinuka,
Yeah.
right? It was a national program. We all knew about it. What is the PAC doing about Potlako Leballo, Nyati Pokela, and all those others?
yeah, they are spread throughout Africa. Huh?
Yes.
They are there. Are they waiting for the noise, for the PAC to make noise? what is the mandate of this particular program? The mandate of an institution that's created for this purpose. Why did we have this heritage site in Tshwane? It's meant specifically to highlight, and its day-to-day focus is to bring about this particular. We have raised these issues with the heritage.
Yes.
It's not correct that this is an unknown factor. After all, if it has a clear mandate to repatriate the bodies, it has to liaise with the liberation movement. We have had incident, as I said, one in Eastern Cape, the other one in Kagiso, where PAC was not contacted. We just heard in the last minutes that the PAC cadres there's a reburial somewhere there. So there has been a systematic and way of trying to exclude the PAC or play down. And as I said, the role played by these cadres and by the PAC.
Mampatuza, I need to bring you in here. Please respond.
Mpo, I really don't believe that there is a deliberate intention of excluding other cadres that fought for the liberation of the country. There is definitely nothing of that sort, especially from our part. As I indicated, we're looking at receiving requests for repatriation and reburials, and we address those as we receive them. I really am not aware of any request that was turned down of repatriation of the remains of the fallen heroes and heroines. So it is really no intention on the part of the South African Heritage Resources Agency to exclude anybody in the process. As I indicated, for now, for this financial year, we had a plan, the one that is now ending in March. Yes. We had a plan, and we have executed that plan. So as we remember, we have 3-year MTF period. So as the years come, we'll also have plans, and we review the plans annually, and we are all encompassing. We are not exclusive at all.
Are we going to see the PAC getting in touch with this office to ensure that, the likes of Mos Dlamini, Curtis Gondlo, are brought back?
Look, giving her a benefit of a doubt, one would say that, but obviously, I mean, you cannot have a situation where I think Ma'am understand fully that there were largely two liberation movements. And you cannot have a situation where all the people that have been repatriated are from the African National Congress. And she doesn't even ask herself, where are others? Where are the leaders and cadres of other liberation
But also, they may not
let's talk a bit of the PAC has made a lot of efforts. Curtis Gondlo, he died in Mozambique,
yes,
in what we called Velapiri operations.
Yes.
While Mozambique was still under the Portuguese rule, he fought. We, as PAC, made follow-up with the government of Mozambique in our own, because up until now we are not able to locate what we call his grave. Now, we have been making efforts as the PAC. It is not correct that we've been sitting on our own. We've been sending people to Dar es Salaam to visit the grave sites, because there's huge grave sites of the PAC where we've been allocated, in Beya, in a lot of other areas where we have had camps. It is the task and the mandate of this which is currently mandated and operating with a government budget. There's a budget, it's talking about a budget. They have a duty to approach the PAC and said, why are we only repatriating the fallen heroes of one liberation movement? Why are you not approaching? They know where our offices are. They know our emails. They have all of the contact numbers. Why are they not making effort to contact us? Okay. No, so therefore, while we're here, and we will obviously outside this program, take them on, okay, because we do definitely have people that need to be repatriated. The families are waiting.
Okay, all the thought there. We're going to take a quick break. Please don't go away.
Technology is all around us and is improving lives across Africa, like how young Nigerians are connecting to the internet. There are doctors finding new ways to save lives in Cameroon, and the South African public transport system that is now getting Wi-Fi. We have gadgets, apps and loads more, some of which play a big role in Africa's growth. A huge part of this African growth is technological innovation. To find out a bit more about social media and technology news from here in Africa and abroad, join me, Phumelele Zondi, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest today is the PIC Secretary General, Narias Moloto, and from our Sea Point studios, Veliswa Baduza. She's the CEO of SAHRA. Now, Baduza, perhaps let's just look at other things that you are, as an institution or as an organization, able to do to ensure that the legacy and the heritage of the South African liberation struggle does not diminish. What else do you do in instances where you're not able to locate graves, for instance?
You see, we work with various authorities. We're not working in isolation.
Yes.
We really do work with various authorities, both internally and outside the country. But also, you know that as the government, there is also the plan to erect a Heroes Acre.
Yes.
Where those of fallen heroes and heroines, especially those that, as you say, cannot be located, can also be commemorated.
Yes.
But also, you are aware, as you are aware, the government had established and built the Freedom Park in Pretoria,
yes.
Where also you have the history of the struggle and also acknowledgement of those who had fallen, for us to be able to be sitting here and talking like we are doing.
Okay.
So there's a lot that the South African government is doing towards recognizing those fallen heroes and heroines. But also, I must say that there's also the Liberation Heritage route that the country is looking into, that is going to trace the liberation route from both outside and inside the country, so that we have a liberation heritage route that will also bring to the consciousness of the South Africans what had been done for us to be where we are today, and celebrate and commemorate and identify with those heroic acts of the fallen heroes and heroines.
Will that perhaps include the so-called unsung heroes and heroines? Because, you know, the problem that I've noticed with a lot of narration of our liberation struggle is that we always focus on the knowns. And the Gogo Baduza, who was living on the border of Botswana and South Africa, who made sure that Mpho and many others cross easily back and forth, are normally not recognized. How are we going to ensure that as a country we also recognize the role played by those who today may not have those big names?
Ironically, Mpho, we were talking about that at a meeting on Monday. We're discussing the Liberation Heritage Route, and we were actually touching on exactly what you're touching. The Liberation Heritage Route is also going to recognize those unsung heroes and heroines. And the example that we were using was exactly those women and men that, as you say, harbored the so-called terrorists at the time.
Yes.
But the freedom fighters that were coming in and out of our borders. And we, as part of this Liberation Heritage Route, those will be also celebrated and commemorated.
Okay. Thank you very much, Baduza. Let me just come back to you now, Ntate, talking about the celebration of our heritage and all that. You have been in the news lately, complaining that some of your upper cadres, coincidentally, we're seeing visuals of MK cadres in Uganda there. Some of your comrades, you're saying, are still in detention.
Yes, I think before I come to that, let me just say that body is not doing enough to be balanced. It's not doing enough. It's not balanced. Even when you go to that heritage site in Pretoria, you'll still find the long list of the people that are there are from one section of the liberation movement. So they are not doing enough. The contribution of the PAC to the liberation struggle is not properly recorded.
No, then
Basically,
the PAC,
the effort-
Mr. Moloto, it's your responsibility as the PAC to ensure that you are not undermined.
It is. But remember, the people who are appointed in these institutions, who are supposed to execute that mandate, are largely from one section of the liberation
But Maximus
movement.
is there, you
And
say.
is one. But he's making his best. Okay, I just want to record that because people may think that the information that is being dished out is balanced and is correct. That is not.
Okay.
But let me come back. It is quite correct that we have freedom fighters, members of the APLA, that are still languishing in prison up until today. They went out to fight for the liberation of their country. We have got more than 111 of them that are still, some of them are basically heading for 27 years. The years which popularly are credited to the longest by the late Baba Nelson Mandela.
No, but that's not true.
It is true.
No,
It is true.
Masemula.
Masamula has served the longest.
Yeah.
Now, all what I'm saying is that 27 years we have freedom fighters today from APLA that have never seen freedom. They fought to overthrow the apartheid regime. They end up being incarcerated by that regime. They continue to be administered by the current administration. And they served, they've never tasted freedom. So this is what many South Africans don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is going to happen? I know that the minister has committed that he's dealing with the issue.
We don't know. He hasn't said anything to us. We wrote to him, we wrote to presidency and said, what justification do you have? Why do you keep freedom fighters? Because those are still political prisoners. Now, why do you go out and celebrate and boast in Africa, boast in the world, and even try to say apartheid was wrong, the legacy of apartheid, but when we have ghosts from apartheid in the backyards? Now, the continued detention of freedom fighters to the PAC is totally and completely unacceptable.
Are you going to make, or rather put enough pressure for government to release them?
Yes, we are already. Okay. We are campaigning. We are making the people of this country, because most of them don't know. Okay. I mean, we shouldn't run the country purely based on propaganda. We must tell people truth. The information and communication must be transparent. Okay. And that is basically what is not happening at the moment.
Dademlot, let's hope that indeed those freedom fighters will finally see the light of this freedom. And Ma'am from Cape Town, thank you very much for taking your time to be with us on Question Time. That was Question Time for today. A big thank you to my guest and to you for watching the show. Welcome your feedback via email, questiontime@sabc.co.za. Our Twitter handle, @QuestionTime24. From me and the crew, have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.